Welcome into UGA Football Live with JC Shelton, where the dogs come to talk. We are back. Welcome in, everyone. UGA Football Live with JC Shelton. Whether you're watching on the Pulse Sports Network on YouTube or listening wherever you get your podcasts, we're back. Spring is in the air. Spring football is here. You know what that means? In a few weeks, G-Day, April 15th in Sanford Stadium, the annual Georgia spring game. Can't wait to watch that. Hopefully it's some great weather. Pollen has been messing me up, but it's always worth it when you get to watch football. So I'll go through it then. Maybe playing golf as well. It's all worth it. But I have a great show planned for you guys today. Have special guest, former Georgia running back Richard Samuel on the show. Great conversation there. We break down a little bit about Mike Bobo, Stacey Searles, who is his coach and his main recruiter at Georgia. So very familiar with those two guys. We're going to have prominent roles in that Georgia offense and the coaching staff in this upcoming season. Just some spring news here. Let's go through these news nuggets for you guys, keep you up to date first before we get to my conversation with Rich. So the first news out of spring practice was not great. We have a broken collarbone for Georgia freshman tight end Pierce Spurlin. Going to miss a few months there. He's going to miss some valuable reps. Spring is so valuable for these young players, whether it be for the incoming freshmen, early enrollees, or maybe even guys who haven't seen the field as much, playing behind upperclassmen who are really talented. Those are where the growth, that's where the growth is really made. You get so many reps during this time, and it really translates and gets you involved in the offense and defense game planning and play calling, get you up to speed, feel comfortable, get used to the speed of the game. So very valuable reps here that Pierce Spurlin's going to miss. It's a young tight end group when you look at it. I mean, minus Brock Bowers at the top, of course. Oscar Delp will be a sophomore. Fellow freshman Lawson Lucky is coming in. Both Pierce Spurlin and Lawson Lucky were both highly rated in this 2023 class, but you know, with Pierce missing these valuable reps, you have to wonder what this group is going to look like if some injuries hit it in this upcoming season, because you never know with football, right? I mean, the position group can be absolutely decimated, like Georgia's receiver room in the past couple of seasons at times. So something to watch for this spring and of course next season. UGA did make some coaching additions this past week. Former Clemson OC Brandon Streeter, former Texas A&M OC Daryl Dickey. They replaced Buster Faulkner, now at Georgia Tech, and Mike Bobo, of course, now OC as offensive analyst. So they're coming in. A lot of Power 5 experience here. I like the moves here. Can't help but wonder, though, just thinking and contemplating about how Kirby Smart promotes from within, right? We saw it with Mike Bobo. We saw it with Will Muschamp, Glenn Schumann. And these guys that Kirby Smart wants to keep the core and really promote these guys, get them used to the system and promote them from within, rather than going out and getting another guy from a program. You saw that, especially this past season, right? Mike Bobo. I love that move as well. And you guys know that. We've already talked about that. But you have to think in the future, does Kirby Smart have some interest in bringing these guys in for a future role as well? Just something I'm considering. But recruiting updates, let's get into that as well. Georgia gained a commitment from four-star athlete DeMello Jones out of Swainsboro, 6'1", 176 pounds, plays both receiver and cornerback, rated as a number 18 athlete, number 194 prospect overall by 24/7 Sports. That puts the Dogs back at the top of the recruiting rankings after dropping off to number 2 after a decommitment from four-star running back Tavani Mizell. The Dogs still do have four-star running back Dwight Phillips Jr. committed in the same class. Good at running back there for now. He's one of the fastest players in the country. He just ran a 10.29 100-meter in a track meet last week. That's a crazy time. As a junior in high school, for any age group, that's a crazy good time. So excited to watch him in the future. NFL draft news. Next little nugget here for you guys. Obviously, the forefront of Georgia's NFL draft news has been Jalen Carter. And the information surrounding this is pretty complex. And his involvement in the crash that took the life of Devin Willock and Chandler LaCroix. it seemed like there was a big drop of interest there from NFL teams, but nobody really knows, right? It's just guys reporting from sources they have, unnamed sources. You never know what the NFL teams and scouts are actually thinking. He didn't have a great pro day. That was a little concerning, showed up overweight. Also wasn't able to get through drills, had some cramping issues. But after everything that transpired, I can see that kind of happening, right? Not giving excuses. I want the best for Carter, right? From everybody I have talked to in this program, Carter is a great teammate, great kid, fierce competitor, and one of the talented prospects in this draft. Of course, Mel Kiper Jr., even after all of this past week, still has Carter ranked number 1 on his big board. Also had him going number 6 to the Detroit Lions in his latest mock draft. Also had 3 other Bulldogs in his latest mock draft. Nolan Smith, huge jump to number 12 overall to the Houston Texans. If you would have thought back, let's say to October, after Nolan Smith goes down with an injury, had his best season up to date for Georgia. The senior did, and was really concerned about him and his draft stock and getting kind of punished for that. The pectoral injury, right? Shows up to the combine and performs really well, does the same at pro day. So teams are really taking interest there. It reminds me of Trayvon Walker and his jump after this season last year and becomes the number 1 overall pick. But his performances at the combine and pro day is really what sent him there, right? Just insane athletic ability. And Smith was really similar there. And then Broderick Jones at number 13 also took a big jump thanks to pro day and the combine performances there. He goes to the New York Jets with that number 13 pick. And rounding out the first round for UGA is Darnell Washington at number 28 to the Cincinnati Bengals. Also a big jump, right? It's like pro day and combine really, really do well for Georgia in the last few years and showing this athletic ability for each of these guys. So I'm excited to see what Big O can do. Really performed well. I think he'll be much better in the NFL, to be honest, than he was at Georgia and how Georgia used him. Staying in the NFL, we'll go Dogs in the NFL free agency. Isaiah McKenzie signing with the Indianapolis Colts, and Mecole Hardman inked a 1-year deal with the New York Jets. Let's get into my conversation now with Richard Samuel, one of the biggest recruits in Georgia football history, former 5-star, one of the top recruits in the state of Georgia at the time in 2008. Played with a lot of great players that you have heard on this show, and excited to get you guys a look in at Richard Samuel, what he's up to now, a little bit about his recruitment, career, Mike Bobo, and Stacey Searles. Hope you enjoy. Guys, I got a special guest for us today, and it's a first-time guest, former Georgia Bulldog, Richard Samuel. You may remember him. He headed that Georgia backfield for a while there. One of the best recruits as far as ratings come in Georgia's history. 5-star prospect out of Cartersville. Richard, man, we appreciate your time here, and let Jog Nation know how you're doing first. What you up to?
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, thanks for having me, and love the Dog Nation. But right now, 2 kids, and baby girl, she turns 2 next in May. Son, he's 9-year-old, doing wonderful. Wife. So family's doing good, life's good, and I'm in real estate, and I'm really enjoying it.
That's great to hear, man. We love watching you come up in that Georgia backfield at a time where there's so many prospects you look back at, and those Georgia players as well who developed and went on in the pros. So much talent on those teams you played on, and the things that you did for the Bulldogs. And it was really interesting to me from your recruitment standpoint how that went as one of the highest rated players in the state of Georgia and the running backs across the country. I think 247 Sports had you at number 18 in the country overall. What was that recruitment like for you? Take us through that just a little bit coming out of high school as a really young player, I think, right? Didn't you play at Georgia as a 17-year-old, something like that? How did that recruitment go? When did you decide to be a Dog?
Well, to be honest, I did not know much about the recruiting process. My head coach, he did not just introduce me to what to expect. So as stuff started happening, letters, school interest started coming in, I just took it as it is. I didn't know the severity. I didn't understand how special it is. I didn't understand, what kind of platform that was, the fact that I was getting this attention from these different schools in the nation. So I didn't think anything big about it. I didn't think I was the best. I didn't think I was the top. So I was out there playing. So that recruiting process, it was fun. You know what I mean? It helped me realize, okay, maybe I have the ability to play at the next level, but my folks were just basically playing. I just wanted to play. I mean, I remember in practice in high school, I played defensive end. I mean, just on a scout team because I just wanted to be on the field and just keep competitive. And that's what the best thing I did was just keep competing and be on the field. And I guess that's what got me the recognition from the other schools.
Yeah, yeah. Who was your main recruiter from Athens?
Stacey Searles.
Okay.
He was the O-line coach when I got there at Georgia.
Yeah, and he is now. So that was his first past season in 2022. One of the best offensive lines Georgia's ever had, really. And he came in last year and did a good job for us. So that's cool. It comes full circle, right? He's back in Athens.
When I saw that, I thought that was amazing. I mean, he used to come all over the Cartersville just to watch some high school games, and now he's back at Georgia. I mean, he's an amazing coach. I love him.
What's one good thing about him?
His personality. I mean, he makes you feel like you can be safe with him. He makes you feel like you can be comfortable around him. And it's not just, hey, it's business football. It's, hey, let's have fun. You know, let's be buddies. Let's be cool. And that's one thing that made it easy to be able to approach him. And I enjoyed having him be as my recruiting coach.
Yeah, that's really cool to know. As far as that time you decided to be a Georgia Bulldog and make the move to Athens, what was that process like in that decision? Do you remember when you made it?
I guess it goes back to I wasn't really focused much on college football. I was just playing. So, I mean, I only have one family member here, my mom. She lives in Georgia with me. So at that time, I wasn't thinking about going out of state. I was thinking I want to stay home, stay close because if my mom wants to come see the games, I got to make sure it's easy accessible for her to commute to the games. So to be honest, it was down to Georgia and Georgia Tech. Well, I went to a Tech game and it was not all that entertaining. You know, I kind of
No way.
I kind of dozed off in the third or fourth quarter. I dozed off at the Tech game. But when I went to the Georgia game, I mean, the energy, the atmosphere, the coaching staff, I mean, they all made it just amazing. And that right there just made me feel, especially Tony Ball. He was my position coach. And that just made it feel like, hey, this is home for me.
Yeah, that's great to hear. That's really cool. I mean, that Athens atmosphere is something different. One of the best in college football on a week-to-week basis. And speaking of that atmosphere, you came into it as a young guy. And that was really interesting to read about that when I was doing some research on you a little bit. Not to be creepy at all, but you came in really young, man. What was that? I mean, I can only imagine my 16, 17-year-old self coming to Athens to play Georgia football, one of the premier college football programs at the time as well. What was that like for you, man, that experience? Did you have a big learning curve, as a younger kid coming in there with some grown men on that offense?
I just came in ready to compete. Now, I feel like if everything lined up for me to be able to be here, to be able to join the team at the age at the time, and the coaches thought they saw something enough in me to be there, I just thought, like, I just need to be confident in myself and do what I need to do to be competitive, to show, okay, hey, I come as a freshman, but also I deserve some type of playing time. So I wasn't really thinking much about the age until someone points out, I was in the locker room, I think for about like 1 month, I was 16. And there's another guy, I forgot his name at the time, but he was like 25. And I was there at 16, like, wow, that's a big age gap. But the big learning curve to me was the speed of the game. Because I just remember it was one practice, I think it was Caleb King. He ran a play to the left, and then the backside defensive end caught him on the left side. And I was like, wow, that speed of the game, that was a big learning curve for me.
Yeah, I feel like that's a really common thing to hear from high school guys that go in, and it's that adjusting to the speed. And luckily enough, you have a lot of guys now who come in as early enrollees, right? And the majority of Georgia's previous signing class, I think like 18 guys came in early in January. So they got to do national championship practices and really get acclimated before spring practice even started. So I think that's one of the biggest learning curves. And you just spoke to it there, is the speed of the game. And I think the competitiveness you just mentioned too is something that you can see through your career when you look back at it. Interested on how you think of it, because I mean, you swapped sides of the ball a couple of times, and I feel like that last time when we had some attrition at running back as far as injuries go and transfers, you had to step in and go back from linebacker back to running back to end your career in that Georgia backfield. What went into those moves, man? What was that? Were you willing to, move to linebacker as soon as somebody mentioned it, or were some hesitancy there at all?
I was willing. I thought about it. My first backup, when I was getting recruited, I was asked, where do you want to play? Because in high school, I played both ways. So they asked me if I want to play offense or defense. And since I was getting recruited a little bit heavier on offense, so if you guys bring me in offense, I might just stay there. But then as I saw my career go my freshman and sophomore year, no matter what I was doing, I wasn't seeing any payout for the work I was putting in. So I decided, it may be better to my physical ability to go to defense. The difference that I learned between offense and defense when I got to college is offense, you have to be a little more finesse. You have to be more patient and finesse. You have to be able to hit the hole. It takes a special athlete to be able to run the ball. It's not just something that anyone can go back there and run the ball, because you have to understand the scheme, understand the concept of it. Well, for defense, you just fly around. And I felt more comfortable, more free at being able to fly around. Even if I fly to one side, I can mess up, and I can still have the speed and ability to correct it and still make the play. And that's where I felt more comfortable at. Because when I was on offense, I got the ball and I tried to hit it. Well, as I slowly learned, you can't just hit the hole, because the lineman takes time to set up the blocks, and they can't move as fast as I can. So it's just a whole concept that I didn't fully grasp at that time when I was first in my freshman and sophomore year. And then I decided to go to defense. I enjoyed it. I mean, the spring I had a ball during spring. I worked my way up to the ranks. Then I had a little torn meniscus, which set me out. But kind of like what you said, though, based off of people leaving as well as academics, was a little shallow in the running back pool. So coach said, hey, Rich, we understand you're on defense, but we need some help on offense. I'm a team player. Whatever the team needs, I said, let's go ahead and make it happen. So that's what helped transition me back over to offense.
Yeah. So it sounds like you have a little bit of love for defense there over that running back spot.
Oh, man, defense, it's a blast. It's a lot. You don't have to be some finesse about it. You can just fly around and have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously I didn't play it near the level you did, but that was for me too. Play both ways. And then defense is something I just always loved. It was something that I'll be willing to do, especially at linebacker, coming in, just filling the hole, man, hard. No worries about it. You don't have to worry about where you're stepping, where your offensive line is. So would you say that's the harder position, or the harder, I guess, play for you would be to step up in the hole, hit the right, cut back on as a running back, as opposed to filling the hole as a middle linebacker or a linebacker?
Yes, I would say, because you have to have the skills to be a running back. Now, the skills are trained. They come through practice. Looking back, I had the ability, but I never trained to be a good running back. I didn't do a lot of the cut drills, a lot of the movement drills. I never had that. So I lacked the skills. The ability was there. I mean, hey, I can hit the hole. I can run fast. I mean, that was no doubt there. So yes, to answer your question, yes, it's more difficult to be a running back because you have to have the technical skills to be able to read, but also react while reading. Yeah. Again, defense, you have to still react. There's some technical, but you have room to correct. And if you're athletic enough, you can correct all day and still make plays.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you just brought up Stacey Searles there as your number one recruiter out of Athens, and then he's back. And then also Mike Bobo comes in, who was your offensive coordinator during your time at Georgia. So those two heads are still back in this Georgia offense now. How was their relationship with each other? Did they work well off of each other? Anything out of that?
Yes, I believe they did. I mean, they're always laughing, always cool on the field, but also they take seriously. So they understand. Stacey understood what the offensive line need in order for the next level, the quarterback, running back, and receivers to do their job. And Bobo was able to communicate with them and say, hey, based off of this progression or based off of this type of run and the setup that we need, this is what we need our linemen to do. So they always worked hand in hand. I mean, they were wonderful together to help get us to the great offense that we had. Yeah,
that's and then Mike Bobo, right? So what did you see out of him as an overall offensive coordinator? Was it the play calling itself? I mean, was it preparation for the teams you were going to be facing? What made him special in your mind during your time there?
I said both, because the play calling you see it on Saturdays, but the preparation he put in through the week. I mean, his preparation is just amazing. I mean, we just see the scripts that he draws up, as well as the plays to go against certain defenses. He had those pinned down to where there's never a doubt of what needs to be done or what's the play that we need to transition in and out to.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to watch him, and especially Stacey Searles and their relationship, having known each other so well in the past, and now they're working hand on hand in his Georgia offense, and what they can do with this talent that Georgia already has is going to be really interesting to see. What if you had to pick? Actually, no. Do you remember how many plays were scripted for you guys? I'm interested in that from Mike Bobo's perspective. How many plays he would script for a game, or how many drives he would script for a game?
Oh, you know what? It's hard to say because we had a play for either. First of all, we had a play for first, second, third downs. They also do have a play for first and long, or second and short, second long that day. And then we also had a play for whichever side on the 50 we are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's so detailed on.
So is that during that first drive, you're saying? Or
yes.
The entire game? For sure. Okay.
Well, during the first drive, we know before the game, hey, these are going to be our first 3 plays. We know that off the top. But then as the game goes on, he has the almost like a spreadsheet of saying, okay, where's the ball? These are the best plays that from watching film that will execute against this team or this defense if the ball is here. So if we're on our side of 50 and we know it's second long and third and long, he would have to understand, okay, I can choose either this running play to the right because they're weak, or we can do this boot play to the left based off of how that backside protects. So, I mean, it's just that detail that Bobo had to set up.
Yeah, I love that. The one thing I love about my offensive coordinators, if I'm a football fan, is like a huge, like Andy Reid style Waffle House menu play sheet and spreadsheet. That's when I know I'm like, all right, we're covered. All right, anything that can happen, our OC knows what's going on. I love that. So I'm really excited about what he can do. It was Stacey in this running attack that we're going to have with Kendall Milton and these guys. I don't know if you got a chance to watch much football this past season. If you have, feel free to let me know. But if not, I want to put you on the spot. But we do have some running backs coming in that I think can do some special things with Stacey Searles and Mike Bobo in this offense. This offensive line is playing really well. Talented group. We have to replace a few, of course, but those guys are very talented and have some playing time behind them as well. So I'm not really worried on the offensive front at all. Kendall Milton, the bigger style running back, right? And then Dejon Edwards is more of a scat back. He can hit the hole hard. I think he's shown improvement between the tackles. And then as a receiver, he's been really good, and Georgia loves to use him out of the backfield in the passing attack. And I'm sure that Bobo will continue that. How important do you think it is to have a big hitter like you were as yourself in Athens, and then more of a guy who can catch the ball out of the backfield and hit the outside of the tackle run and get a few yards there?
I'll say having that big back that can go north and south, because at a certain time as the game progresses, the defense is going to wear down. And that big back just keep hitting and hitting. Your big runs are going to come in third and fourth quarters. You know, the scat back on defense, one thing they've always said is, hey, the sidelines are our 12th man. So if you come out of the backfield and you have a good defensive end and they keep pushing you, you only have so far you can go. And the quickest way from point A to point B is in a straight line. So that big back just keeps hitting the defense, especially with the line making their blocks, and you give him one guy to where he's responsible. Because that's one thing they've always done with us on offense, especially with Bobo. When they block, they'll leave one and say, hey, running back, this is your guy. You either make a miss, do something, but this is your guy. You're responsible for him. Show me that you're ready to play. So that big back can be able to continue to just show his dominance on that defense. And like I said, the third or fourth quarters is where you may see the size prevail when the defense starts getting worn down.
Yeah. Is that more of that zone scheme where you have the offensive line going one way and then that running back has that guy you have to make or miss?
Yeah. So with that zone schemes, that actually leaves it, when you run a zone, it leaves the running back multiple holes because everyone is zone stepping up the field. Mm-hmm. So that's why you have to, slow play it, let the line get on their block, and also let them move to the next level and see, okay, where this hole going to open up to? And then at some point, it might either be the strong safety or the outside linebacker may be open for the running back to be one-on-one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as long as what leaves you to that.
And I like that matchup, too, between these running backs. And I didn't even mention Branson Robinson for Georgia. That kid is huge, man. He is so big. I saw a picture of him at practice the other day in spring ball. The amount of muscle on that kid is ridiculous as a young guy, right? Power lifter coming out of high school. And you just said you need that north and south runner. So Kendall can be that guy as well as Branson, and really excited to see him in this next season coming off that freshman year, what he can do. And like you said, north and south runner, you need one of those, like a Derrick Henry-esque. Derrick Henry in the third and fourth quarter, especially in the playoffs of the NFL when it's cold, it's so hard to tackle that big guy. So you need that guy in the run game, right? It's going to be great to see. Going to be great to see. As far as these national championships for Georgia, watching the last couple of years, how big was that for you as a former Bulldog to see that take off?
I mean, that was amazing. That was absolutely amazing. The fact that, because when I was there, we got so close. We went to the SEC championship twice, I believe, Bama and LSU. So the fact that we got so close, and then Kirby's early years, he still reached that close level, and the fact that he was able to go over the top and back to back, I mean, that was amazing to see.
Yeah, it's all-time time for Georgia to be a Dog Nation member, to be a Georgia Bulldog. We got to enjoy these times, guys. We got to enjoy these times. It's not going to be forever, right? They're going to have ups and downs, so enjoy this time as a Bulldog. Richard, the last thing I want to get to here is that run versus Florida in 2011, that touchdown to seal that win. One of my favorite moments of your career. Do you remember that play? Like, what went into that?
Well, it all started was on a bus, to be honest with you, because at that point, I'm not sure what's happened throughout the season, but I do remember the mindset that I was in of no matter what I did, I want to contribute to help the team win. And I was just prepared, even because I think I did a lot of special teams that day as well. I was prepared that somehow when my number's called, I'm going to do what I can to my best ability. And I just remember that Bobo, when he kept calling the plays, it was an ISO to the right. And technically, Bruce Biggins, he was a fullback / tight end. He should have caught the ball and scored. He would have ended up scoring instead of I did. But he dropped the ball, but Bobo just kept calling ISO, and we kept seeing that we'll just keep breaking free. And we did, I think we did it twice in a row. Bobo called it to a pass. I mean, it's the same formation, but instead of the fullback blocking the defensive end, they went on a route. Well, I don't know. I forgot Bruce might have dropped the ball. Something might have happened. But then Bobo went right back to it, and I hit and got the touchdown. And I just felt proud that I was able to assist because, again, my pregame mental state was no matter what, I've got to help the team win whenever my number is called. And it just so happened that was the big call.
I love that mindset. A team player, a Bulldog through and through, and we really appreciate the chance to get to talk to you, man. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully we get you on here maybe before the season again. It'd be great to talk to you again before Georgia takes on and this new season. Try to repeat again. Try to go 3 back to back to back. But we love to get a chance to talk to you, and Dog Nation loves to hear from you, man.
Oh, yes, sir. Definitely. It was amazing.
Really enjoyed Richard Samuel and that conversation. I really appreciate his time coming on and getting a chance to talk to Dog Nation a bit and see what he's up to. One of my favorite dogs of all time. Grew up watching him, and just the way he was able to translate his skills into different side of the ball when Georgia needed it the most. I think that really speaks to his character and his work ethic, and I love to see that. We will be back next week with another episode, keeping you up to date with spring football. As always, UGA Wire, part of the USA Today's College Wire Network. Check us out there. We'll keep you up to date on a daily basis. Articles out every day, as well as UGA Wire on Instagram, UGA Football Live on Twitter. I'm at JC_Shelton_ on Twitter. Please rate and subscribe if you're listening to us, and like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Appreciate your time. Go Dogs.